Silicon Valley already trying to control what you see and think. They've got all your data. Google fires dissenting employees. Twitter censors anti-abortion tweets. Facebook alters its algorithms to eliminate what it calls fake news. Now Silicon Valley is targeting the administration's immigration agenda. The CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, has a lobbying group along with a bunch of other companies. It's called Forward US, and it wants amnesty for 11 million people here illegally, more guest worker visas, other policies that would substantially increase our intake of foreign labor. Todd Schulte is the president of Forward.us, and he joins us tonight. Todd, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So it seems like the tech companies have, well, I guess maybe more power than any institutions in the history of the world, since they control virtually everything that we have. Shouldn't it make us a little uncomfortable if they're trying to control something as important as immigration legislation?
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody's looking to control stuff. And I think, what we're focused on today is, what to do about the DACA population, what to do about dreamers. With the repeal of DACA, there's nearly 800,000 young people who came to this country at the average age of 6. Right. They've been here for 20 years. And so the question is, are we going to try to, as a nation, go and deport as many of these people as possible, which is absolutely the wrong approach, or are Republicans and Democrats going to come together and get legislation passed like the Bipartisan Dream Act?
What if that legislation, look, I mean, let's be totally real. This is what it's always been, which is a push by business to get cheaper labor, to increase margins, to make the people who own the businesses even richer. So why are we pretending it's like a human rights quest when it's really just the age-old search for cheaper workers?
I don't think it's that. I think it's both the right thing to do for the country, but it's good for the economy and for workers, too. I mean, I think the question here is if there's...
Good for which workers?
Good for everybody. I mean, the question is...
How is it good for everybody to import a lot more people willing to work for less? Why is that good for American workers?
Well, if we're talking about bringing in people who aren't here in the future, immigrants raise wages for people. But if we're talking about the dreamer population, the question is, do we think it's better for workers to allow people to earn citizenship, or do we think that, it's going to be better to put forth a plan to try to deport 800,000 people?
No. There are lots of actually intermediate steps, and one of them would be, I mean, if you're totally sincere, then I think you would agree that we should end chain migration. There's no reason that someone who comes here illegally, is granted citizenship, should be able to bring an average of 6 new relatives from a foreign country here, all of whom get citizenship too. Why would we be for that?
Well, Tucker, I think it's important to understand the question here is, there are 780,000 people, and they're at risk of deportation. So there's a lot of things we need to fix about our immigration system. You and I may not agree. I do think that we should have a pathway to citizenship for the 11 million.
Here, that's the dishonest part. So when you say it's under 800,000, you're not including their relatives who would be eligible to come here if they became citizens. So you're actually dramatically underselling the reality of this program. It would mean millions of new people.
Well, I'm not. I think it was pretty straightforward, Tucker. I think that there's a lot of things wrong with our immigration system. The question is, for these people now, what are we going to do? Now, in 10 or 15 years, do I think we should have second-class citizens? I don't. But I hope that 10 or 15 years from now, we fixed a lot of aspects of our immigration system, whether that's doing a better job, having a legal immigration system that makes sense for today's economy, whether it's border security. But the question is Congress actually going to get together, like the president said?
This, I wonder, I mean, people are always selling me the kind of ice cream policy. It's awesome for everybody. But if you import millions and millions and millions and millions of low-wage workers, low-skilled, low-education workers, as we have in the past 50 years, is no one hurt by that? Is there no American worker who sees his wages remain stagnant or even decline because of that? Or is supply and demand not in effect here?
It's a great point. The National Academy of Sciences...
Actually. Well, no, is no one hurt?
Well, the National Academy of Sciences has been very clear. 91% of Americans actually see their races increased by immigration here. Now, that means, look,
wait a second. 91% of Americans haven't seen their wages increase
because of immigration. Other things have happened.
Well, so that actually hasn't. Wait, hold on. That hasn't happened in 30 years. So how? I mean, that as a factual matter, huge swaths of the middle class have seen their wages remain stagnant or decline. I'm not blaming immigration, but you can't say that we know that low-wage immigration raises wages when wages haven't risen.
Well, it's actually what the economists would say, and I'm glad to hear you're not blaming immigration for that, because that's backed up by the economic data.
But you haven't answered my question, which is nobody hurt?
Oh, I mean, I think
it's hurt by this, because there's always a downside to everything, but everyone lies about it in D.C. Oh, it's all good.
So no, this is a good question. Who do you think would be hurt by not deporting 800,000 people?
I think it is.
I mean, deporting 800,000 people.
I think it is ruined. Look, liberals used to care about wages. Wages matter. How much you make at the end of the week? Can you send your kids to summer camp? Are you worried about your medical care? Right. Okay. Now I see liberals working on behalf of big business to make certain big businesses are more profitable at the expense of workers' wages. And I'm thinking, whatever happened to all the liberals who used to care about wages? Where did they go? Do you know where they are?
I mean, again, I think it's really important to keep in mind, there are a lot of things that happen with our economy. The question is, what's the impact of immigration? Putting aside the dreamer question for a second here, 9 in 10 Americans have seen, there's lots of things going on, immigration have a positive impact on their paycheck.
I'm just saying, as someone who deals with this every day, that's factually untrue because 9 in 10 Americans haven't seen their wages rise. Right. So that's just like, that's not a real stat.
Obviously, immigration's not the only factor in our economy.
I'm not saying that it is.
But I think when we come back to it, though, the question is, there's 700, and I'm going to ask this,
if you were selling
is that good for the economy?
A health care bill, if you were selling gun control, if you were selling something I agreed with, I'd still ask you the same question because nobody ever tells the truth in D.C. What's the downside? If you let 5 million new people come here, who gets hurt? Or does every single person in America benefit?
No, of course not.
Who gets hurt?
Who gets hurt?
Yeah, who sees the downside for this?
Well, I think the question is, who's going to be hurt by passing a DREAM Act?
You're never going to answer.
No. I mean, you can say that, but the question is like...
Well, then answer. We got 10 seconds. Anyone get hurt at all?
But I don't understand the question here. The question is, are you going to deport 800,000 people? And the answer is, that would hurt a lot of people, Tucker.
You're a tough man to debate, Todd Schulte. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.